Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to TCG University. It's me, Noah, here with
James.
And we're doing another
Best damn deck.
Today we're doing Kingsglaive.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite ones because I love
Noah's favorite thing.
It's what got me hooked on Lightning the most. I love Kingsglaive. So as usual, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, please support us on Patreon down below. $1 a day keeps our lights going.
Sort of, yeah.
I don't have a cool rhyme for that right now. Also, anything else you want to add? I feel like there's more I'm forgetting every time.
I definitely forgot to post the other one live. I have to fix that later.
The Vikings one?
No. The Mono Ice. It's not public.
You baddie. James, I leave that to you.
Social media. I'm just
Oh, God. Okay. And as always, before we go into this, we're going to talk about the 5 main pillars. It's the core of the deck, the techs and weaknesses, the summons, and then lastly, the limits.
Yeah.
Whoop. Moving on. Ooh, whoa. That shows limits first. Crazy. Boop. Okay, there we go. Core of the deck. For Kingsglaive, these are the 5 most important cards I think you want to play in the deck. So to start off, we have Regis. Regis is super self-explanatory in and of himself, but you guys probably aren't going to understand half of these things because nobody really plays Kingsglaives anymore.
Just your favorite deck.
It is literally like one of my favorite decks ever. Actually, let me pull this up here because it's just easier to read off of this. Cool. All right, so first card we got up, Regis. Regis is a 4-drop 8K King, category 15, which majority of Kingsglaive will be. That says the cost per card to cast your next job Kingsglaive is reduced by 1. When he's chosen by your opponent's summons or abilities, you can put a job Kingsglaive you control into the break zone. When you do so, cancel the effect. Damage 3, he gains 1k power. Regis essentially just makes your deck cheaper, which is really good.
He's also a cool wall.
And he's packed in protection.
He's a very, very cool wall.
Yeah, he's a really good wall. Along with Nyx, his second in command. Nyx is a 7-drop, 3-cost Kingsglaive, category 15. That states you can remove a job Kingsglaive in the break zone from the game. Sorry, I can't play with that fidget spinner. I gotta stop. Remove 1 job Kingsglaive in the break zone from the game. Until the end of turn, he gains 1k power and first strike. And then he also can't be chosen by your opponent's abilities. If you remove 5 Job Kingsglaive in the break zone from the game, you can search for a category 15 forward of cost 5 or less and play it onto the field. Usable whenever. Nyx is your facilitator, essentially. He is also a wall with Regis. They both make a really good wall together.
Disgusting wall. Him especially, because he's an 8k first strike.
Yeah, whenever he wants. Or more than 8k.
That can't be touched by anything but summons.
Yep, and if they target him with summons, they're never touching Regis, and Regis becomes a 9k body that sticks, which is really good too. Yep. And their ability to tell your opponent that you can't touch them is really good, especially because it's when you decide. It's not just like a I'll blink your dude type of thing. It's, what's the word? I can't think of the word. I'll figure it out later. Right. It's not as easy as just going, hey, your board doesn't have skills. You can, in response, react with it. It won't matter as much, but you still have that reactivity. It also might hurt with Mist Dragon, but also gets around Mist Dragon because the cost is removing first. Next, we have Axis. Axis is a 3-drop Kingsglaive 7k. Words are so hard. When Axis enters the field, you put the top 3 cards of your deck into the break zone, and then you can also put Axis in the break zone as his action ability. Choose a forward other than card name Axis in your break zone, add it to your hand. He is essentially, what's the word? A cascader. Kusith. He essentially cascades, and also Kusith.
He's a cascade that goes into a Kusith.
Yeah, however you want. Axis is probably your best beat stick and your best defense because he's just a ghost blocker. You just block with Axis, pop it, and pick up a forward out of your break zone, which is really good. He also helps dig deeper into your deck for other items that you want. A lot of people, you will probably see this card get played in any specific deck that likes to mill itself because Cat 8 mill is really good and Axis just supports it.
And it just says pick up a dude. Honestly, Mono Lightning can play this very easily too.
Yes. Next, I put Pelennor. Oh, God, that's not it. Oh, God, Pelena. Sorry. Wow, I don't know why I said Nor. Pelena. Pelna's a 2-drop backup that says if you control a category 15 character, the cost required to cast him is reduced by 1. So with Regis on board, he's free. Nuts. If we have backups that need 3 of their color to do that, he just needs a forward. That's specific Regis. Yeah, like that's the cool part about Pelna. And then he also says you can tap, put him in the break zone. All the category 15 forwards you control gain 2k power until the end of turn. So he's also an anthem for your board for 1 turn, which is actually not terrible.
Yeah.
And then lastly,
but he puts himself in the discard pile, which is the cool part with Nyx.
It fuels for Nyx.
Yep.
It also fuels for the last card we have, Noctis. This is the Opus 16. Yeah, Opus 16 Noctis is probably one of my favorite Noctises in the game because of the way he is. 5 cost Prince, 9k, Cat 15. The cost required to cast Noctis is reduced by 1 for each Cat 15 character you control. Sick. He can essentially be free or 1 if you play Glocka, but like 1 isn't terrible either. When a Category 15 character other than Noctis enters your field, you choose a 4 the opponent controls, dole it. When a Category 15 character other than Noctis you control is put from the field to the break zone, choose the 4 the opponent controls and dole it. Noctis is essentially your way of getting around a board.
The worst part about this card, honestly, is that it's free. That's the worst part.
It's a free 5-drop
I hate
9k.
it. It's so dumb.
Or a 1-drop 9k, really.
Yeah, I'm sure. Even a 2-drop, who cares?
Yeah. You put 2 backups down, he costs 3.
This card as a 5-drop is fine. By itself, it's still fine.
He's a rare. So like everything's fine, but the fact if you get him out early, also not even the fact that you could use his ability essentially to play him for free, but Nyx could just put him on the board, and then from then on, because this deck likes to move around with all of its pieces, you can just dole dudes for days. It's actually really cool.
It's real rough sometimes.
Yeah, moving on from the core, we have the tech. So these are specific cards that I picked that I think are really nice to put into the deck. They're not necessary, but they're nice to have. 2 of them are like the same character, so I'll talk about that later. First one's Adia. Adia helps mill Kingsglaive in your break zone. She's also, for Nyx. She is also really good at getting bodies off the board.
She's also real good at searching Irvine.
Yep, she's also real good at searching Irvine. If you want to play a mill route, which I have played out, I don't know if we ever recorded those games. I think we just slapped the deck together and tried it.
You didn't like it because it kept fucking you.
No, it was working. It was just, it's so volatile. It felt bad.
You said you kept drawing the Raijins and not milling them.
No, that was a different deck. That was the initial one. This one, it wasn't as bad because everything is just mill, quote unquote, and like it didn't feel as bad. But yeah, so Adia's really cool. She's also just a solid lightning card to put in your deck, anyways. Negging things is way better than shooting things right now, and even a 4K neg is good because then you can like swing with anything realistically in the deck. Next we have, I put X-Death. X-Death is pretty self-explanatory. I'm already removing cards out of my break zone. I really don't care if I have a break zone a good chunk of the time because I'm funneling through it so quickly. So X-Death just says slam them down as soon as I can, and from then on, as long as I hold the board, my opponent's going to lose the game more than likely. It's a slow burn.
X-Death next wall is kind of not fun.
Yep. And then we put Zac in here. I think Zac or cards like Zac are really nice. Zac just says when a forward's or when an opponent's forward is doled, choose a forward they control and shoot it for 5, which is great because with Noctis on board, every time I play or lose a dude to the break zone, that's a Cat 15, which is 90% of my deck, Zac triggers. For instance, it's really funny actually if you play the Earth Ignis, Zac gets 2 triggers immediately, well, quote unquote immediately, because Earth Ignis enters, trigger Noctis, and then he'll break something. If he breaks a Cat 15, trigger Noctis, Zac.
Yep.
And if it's on your turn, pick up a card as well.
You'll break a dude off of.
Yeah, so you get two guys out and add a card to hand, and dole 2 cards if you need to. It's whatever. It's really nuts. I like it. And then the other 2 cards I put in here are Ardens. I actually should look this up because I want to be very specific in the way these are. They're said because one of these Ardens kind of annoys me, but I also like it at the same time. It's a dark one. Yep, it's a love-hate relationship. Arden. So we're going to start with Fire Arden first. Fire Arden, when he enters the field, you can put 2 backups you control into the break zone. If you do so, turn over 1 card at a time from the top of your deck until 2 characters other than card name Arden are revealed. Play them onto the field, then shuffle the other cards revealed and return them to the bottom of your deck. Basically, play this on your opponent's turn, pop 2 backups. If Noctis is on board, cool. If not, it's whatever. And then play more stuff to hurt them. He's a 5-drop 7k, so he's not on curve in stat-wise, but his ability to play 2 dudes out is really nice. And depending on how you want to build the deck, because you don't have to go full Kingsglaive with it realistically, but depending on how you build the deck, you can also put in really big bodies that Arden will hit for you. Or has the potential to hit for you, which isn't always a terrible thing. Nextly is the Dark Arden, which I have a love-hate relationship with because I play it as one of in every deck I play it in, and I still draw it. Dark Arden is a 5-drop 9k, so on curve, fine. When he enters the field, you discard your hand. Sucks, but that's just what it is. When you do so, your opponent selects 1 more than the number of cards discarded from the following 3 actions. Your opponent can select the same action more than once. So if I have 3 cards, they select it 4 times. If I have 2 cards, they select it 3 times. 1 card 2 times, stuff like that. The options are your opponent selects a character they control, put it in the break zone. Your opponent puts the top 20 cards of their deck into the break zone. Arden deals your opponent a point of damage. So, the cheat way around it usually is I'll just break characters until I have no characters because nobody wants to mill 20 or eat damage, which is generally fine. But I think the best way to do it is when you have like almost a full grip of cards, at least 3 to 4 cards in hand, so you're forcing them to get rid of characters. It's a semi board wipe. It's not terrible, but at the cost of your hand, you can essentially rid an opponent's board. It's kind of a weird trade-off in my opinion. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it at the same time. Arden feels weird. There's also a bunch of other cards you can put in. For instance, you can put the 5 CP Earth Ignis in. Either of them, I think the starter deck one that says all of your Cat 15s gain Brave in 1K, or the most recent one that says pop a backup, break a dude. And if it's on your turn, pick up a forward out of your break zone. Is there anything you want to add to it, James?
Not really.
I think that's all kind of been.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the 5 CP Earth Arden just doesn't feel as good. No. If you really wanted to, you could play Versteel, I guess, but like, why would you? Stop. James, it's not going to work.
It's not.
No, there's not enough high costed cards for it to work. I'm trying to think.
Be funny.
It sucks that it's just forwards.
Yeah.
You could play Wind Ignis, meaning when him or Noctis attacks, you get to restand all your characters. Plus, he gives Noctis.
Dual color Noctis, really.
I mean, if you want to play dual color Noctis, yeah. When Ignis also gives your Noctis ability hexproof, which is really good too.
Yeah.
Because he's the light. You have to kill the Ignis first before anybody else. If you really could figure it out, you could play a small retainer package, which is just Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus, and then play the 2-drop Wind Prompto. That way you free play this Noctis, which is whatever. He's not important. But if you get an Ignis and Gladiolus on with Prompto, he swings and draws 2, which is cool.
Yep.
It's just a little weird. Moving on from our cool tech cards, we have the weaknesses. So these are cards that I picked. James will definitely, I believe, have other cards that he thinks are more important. Shadow Lord, instant.
Easy.
I'm playing a bunch of Kingsglaive. Shadow Lord will wipe my board, and unfortunately, Lightning does not have the ability to go no. Ixion, a lot of my guys are 3 and less. Nyx is a 3, Axis is a 3, and those are like my 2 boys that I want out, as well as Regis is 4, so he gets around it, but killing those 2 feels bad. Irvine's a 3. Tread is a 3.
Kuchelane's the best one on that list.
Yeah, Kuchelane to say blank Nyx is really good.
Yep.
Nyx needs to be used then and there, or he just doesn't do anything.
Yep.
And it sucks, but it's just what it is. You can't really do too much about it. Mist Dragon can remove their break zone in case they're building up for something, and they just don't have the cards to do it yet, so you can preemptively do it. You're forcing a Nyx to be used earlier than it needs to be. And then Ratsu, there's nothing in here immediately that has ETBs or anything auto-wise besides Noctis.
Yeah.
X-Death has one, so like it could hit X-Death. Adia has one, so it could hit Adia. But like realistically, the 2 cards that matter the most, Ratsu won't hit. But Ratsu does just say cancel things, so it's still really good because it can stop a target that Nyx brings out if it has an ETB as well.
Yeah. On my list would be Anima.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nyx is annoying.
Well, any summon realistically that says
Anima
get rid of a
means
dude.
you can't like redo something. With,
Yeah,
like,
I can't get Nyx
I can't
again.
break and you get to pick it up or whatever with Axis.
Mm-hmm.
Or the bounce back free play Leviathan that says you can't replay it.
Mm-hmm. I can't recast it. I could free play it if I need to.
Yeah. But you can't recast it with itself. Chuchelane.
Yeah, unfortunately, it'd be really funny.
No, it wouldn't. I think that's a lot of them are just water. Oh, Shiva! I thought about the
Shiva to blank the board. Shiva to blank the board would be really good too.
I think that card's highly underrated. I think people will start.
I think we both like that card, but I think you didn't value that card as much as I did during our set review.
100% for the same reasons. I'm gonna say why no one's playing it right now. It's ice isn't like a splash color. You can't do anything with it. You still have to have something afterwards, but having an answer and Shiva means you get rid of Nyx easily. Mm. It's just a counter. It's the same thing with like Amma. Amma may take care of it on its own, but like, what stops you from just doing it again?
Yeah. Next, I have. Oh, there it is. My summons. So these are the 5 cards I think that are worth playing as summons. Ixion stayed in the same spot. That was not intentional. So Ixion breaks all 3 or less or 2 or less, depending if you play the kicker or not. 5 CP Odin, because that card's nuts.
Disgusting.
It breaks 5 or less. It's a 5 cost that reduces itself by 3 at damage 5, so it's a 2 cost that breaks a 5 or less, which is really good. 3 CP Odin from Opus 21. 21. Nope, hold on. 21, yes. That says if you control 5 or more lightning characters after you cast it, you break a forward or monster cost 4 or less, and you draw a card. If you draw if you have 5 or more lightning characters. There's also the 3 CP Odin from Opus 22, which breaks a 3 or 4 cost card or character, or sorry, 3 or 4 cost forward. It's not character. It'd be nuts if it was. If you cast it with backups, you draw a card. And then there's the free cast lightning summon, which is Ramu. That deals, I believe it's 7k to an active.
Yep.
Or it's just 7k in general.
Maybe just 7k in general.
I believe this one you can remove to deal more, but I think it's like 15. I don't know if that's the exact Ramu or not. I can't remember off the top of my head.
The free play one?
Yeah.
No, it's just
7. Okay.
There's
I think it's 7 to an
it,
active.
but
I don't know.
it's not deal more.
Yeah.
Other
summons.
You could also play Exodus.
You could play Exodus. You could play 3 CP Ramu from
The choice one.
Yeah, I can't remember what Opus it is though. I'm so bad with Opus names. Where cards belong to, but the one that says Dolo forward, shoot an active for 7 or give something haste. Yeah, that one's also really good. You could also play the Ramu 2 cost that says Dolo dude or give something haste or shoot something for 5. Which is also really good.
I guess you could also play the 7-drop Odin.
I mean, you could. If
like
you load your deck full of Odins, you can play the 6-drop Odin and make it almost free. But yeah, so that wraps up summons, and then lastly, the limits. So in the deck that I play, it's mono lightning. So you're gonna play lightning. You're gonna play cloud. You're probably gonna play Little Leela because she's just solid to play anyway. She's a 5-drop 8k that -7. But in my list, I am playing 2 of the 5 CP Ignises from its Opus 20. So you could Toto is just in here. If you decide to play a split list, you could play Toto. Otherwise, you could play Mott. And giving your guys 1k Brave is actually really good.
Disgusting.
These guys having Brave is actually low-key kind of nuts because then not only are they good for their offensive pressure, but they're great for their defense. Their defense is already good, but their offense gets better because of the Brave.
Consistency-wise, you can use Axis to just pick up the Ignis
and then do Mott. Yeah, I know. It'd be funny. So yeah, Kingsglaive isn't. I actually think Kingsglaive can be a very complicated deck depending on how you want to build it. But I think the more Cat 15 cards we get, if we ever get more, is what will make Kingsglaive better and better. Because if they bring anything, they're not allowed, in my opinion, they are not allowed to make a Cat 15 card that is cost 5 or less that does anything insanely busted to change the state of play in a game because Nyx will just free play it. Easily free play it.
Nyx is the reason this deck works.
Yeah.
That's why Chuchlane, Emina, Leviathan to bounce.
You have to have summons to deal with him.
You have to have summons to deal with him, and he is the engine of the deck.
Yeah, he gets bodied by Chark, which is fair. A lot of decks will get bodied by Chark. So, like, it's not that bad, but his ability to say...
This deck is basically single color, so, like, Chark has to actually pay almost full price.
Yeah, they do have to pay 9. Because it's an 11 cost.
So, like, the only thing this deck does is use Nyx to use everything else, and then play, like, a back and forth game with you, and Nyx just gives you too much advantage. I'll say that the Nyx best hit is Noctis. Not Noctis, but Regis. Because he's just a big body that's hard to kill. Mm-hmm. So he gives you board state presence. That's it. I'll say that. Noctis needs everything else on board. Everything else is real
Noctis doesn't need things. He wants you to put things on board.
Noctis needs other things to be going in and out of the board. Yeah,
he does. It's actually kind of funny how Noctis... he's a revolving door.
Yep.
He forces a revolving door.
Irvine's just Irvine. Libertas needs Nyx to exist.
He doesn't. So Libertas can pick up Nyx and restand 2. Otherwise, he just picks up any 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he picks up any 15 character.
Still, he doesn't do anything. Like, he facilitates Nyx or other things. And then everything else is just side pieces of just good cards.
I will say, in my opinion, the best Kingsglaive backup, besides Pelna, is a tie between Sonitas and Crow.
Oh, two of the other 3?
Yeah. I don't like Luge because he lets your opponent draw a card. Otherwise, he's just a straight break, which is like cool or whatever. But like Sonitas is a straight break and deals your opponent damage. I'd rather do that than let my opponent gain card advantage.
I mean, straight break.
And there's a potential of hitting an EX, right? Crow says Dole, put her in the break zone, Dola dude, and if she goes to break zone, you also pick up a forward.
I would play another Luge over 3 of the card though. Just letting you know that.
You'd play this over this?
I'd play another Loosh instead of the 3 card.
I don't. I've always been fine. Plus,
That's
if you
fine.
look at it, I'm playing like 20 of them. I only never need to trigger once.
Yeah, you're fine.
Um,
It's just I would just because you have a second copy of Loosh.
this is not the exact list though. I did make changes for some reason. Didn't say, but yeah.
We also don't need a tangent inside the video.
Otherwise, I would like to actually hear you guys' thoughts on Kingsglaive, how you want to do it.
Kingsglaive nerd.
Yeah, there is. Shout outs to Leo. My dude is also a Kingsglaive lover, and we haven't talked in a while, but occasionally we'll message on Discord, sharing up more information on how we want to play Kingsglaive. I swear, the second they drop more Cat 15 cards that are any of them do anything cool on Enter, Kingsglaive's got to get better. And they probably never will. I don't think Cat 15 is that important anymore like it used to be. So it'll probably be a while before they go back into that category.
What, 24 is going to have 16 in it?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the new hype.
Yeah. It definitely will. Unless something weird happens with Cat
Unless
15.
there's only the one card they've shown us.
They're like, hey, Final Fantasy 15-2. And I'm like, why are we doing a 15-2? Which is actually impossible, by the way.
The only 16 card is that, what is it?
It's the Clive.
The Clive. That's it. That's the only 16 card in that set.
God, we get more Strangers of Paradise than we do Cat 6. They're not going to do that, obviously.
Strangers of Paradise
I actually think
flow better together.
Side tangent. Sorry, you guys.
Another
if you're done watching, thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always,
side tangent at the end of the video.
do that cool thing. But I am very interested to see how Dragoons and how Bahamut's work. Because there's literally a Dragoon whose Eidolon, like, summon is Bahamut. And that's just really, really cool.
That they both have engines that deal with each other.
Bahamut has its own engine under fire, realistically.
Yeah.
But Dragoons also have their own engine. So I'm actually kind of interested to see how that works because depending on how much support they get, Dragoons could, in the future, dip into another color that's not water or wind. It could dip into fire, potentially, if they do fire Bahamuts. Otherwise, they just stick it with lightning. Bahamuts? There are fire Bahamuts, but right now, none of it works with Dragoons.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always...
give us suggestions down below. Check out our merch. Check out our Patreon. TCG Player. Like, share, subscribe. And stay alert.